Why is employee monitoring by employers up an amazing 56% since the pandemic began? And how can you fight back and regain your independence? So let me give you the Cliff Notes version of what we've all sort of experienced, okay? For many, 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 many years since before the pandemic, there has been a push and pull, right? And it starts with this question, and I want you to ask yourself this. How much of your job can you do by yourself? How much can you do independently without any oversight? And could you, in fact, do it more effectively if you had the ability to structure it that way and fulfill the other parts of your life better, it's assumed, by not being in that office, right? For years, we have been told, no way, there's a huge swath of companies, huge swath of jobs that simply cannot make that work. Well, the global pandemic came, it removed that choice out of the equation. And with many companies forced to look at either a remote workforce or a heavily hybridized workforce versus shutting down, guess what? It started making a lot of friends. And we started seeing that largely this experiment was successful. That all the way into jobs even like traders, on Wall Street, which thought, oh my God, no way, you've got to be there. No, with the right setup at home, with the right internet connection, you can do it. So what happened? The companies that for so long we're saying the reason that you can't do this is because you're not going to be able to do the right work and the work is not going to get done. Now that's been revealed as a lie. So what are they going to do now? Okay, I can't really use that on you. But you know what I can do? I can sort of go to what the real reason was behind why I was upset about this in the beginning, which was control, and I can amp that up. So since this pandemic, companies that specialize in sneaky solutions that are going to allow bosses, companies to spy on you through your work phone, to spy on you through your work computer, policies that are restrictive that come into play, right? Sometimes without the full knowledge of employees, that bring a level of snooping on your emails, on your communications, all sorts of oversight, nefarious and not so nefarious, has now come into play because these companies are sort of like, okay, well, if I can't have you here, I definitely want to control you as much as I can, right? This is a bad sign. This is not a healthy response to the situation, right? But most importantly, what can you do about it, right? So let's talk about this. What I would appreciate if you guys are not already following me, take a second on LinkedIn, look me up. I'm sharing tips like this every single day. Me and my team have helped break over 2,000 people just like you out of the job search trap forever and start the process of generating on your own terms fast. If that interests you, I would love a follow if you're interested. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, okay, understand your company's policies, especially what can and cannot be enforced. And yes, I want you to be boring. Yes, I want you to really go deep with this. I remember one of the first acting jobs I had at age 17, I was doing a Shakespeare in the Park play, and I was 17. What the heck did I know? But I was working with a cast of much older actors. And one of the actors, I couldn't understand why every time, he'd be bringing up to the manager, hey, we're supposed to get a 15-minute break here. We're supposed to get a 30-minute break here. Hey, we're supposed to get food when we arrive at that destination. I used to be like, why is this guy such a stickler? But later on, I realized, wait a minute, this is the only person who understood what was supposed to be here and what wasn't. Everybody else was just guessing and grumbling. I don't want you to guess and I don't want you to grumble. I want you to open up. I want you to ask HR. I want you, if you don't have it, have access to it. I want you to get the written copies of company policy as it relates to employees, as it relates to communications, as it relates to those parts of your job that are necessary. And I want you to see how much oversight, if you will, micromanagement is built into the policy, okay? If it is, that gives you a sign that you're in a company that you really need to get the heck out of. Because if they have a policy basis for screwing you over, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to either come out of this well or that if things go to the worst case scenario, you guys go on the outs, that you're going to win that, right? But now if it's not, and you're looking at this and you're saying there's nothing here that has to do with any of the changes that I'm dealing with, any of the changes that me and my team members are struggling with right now, any of this insecure micromanagement, there's none of that, fine. I want you to save those copies, and the next time there's an infringement, the next time there's something that doesn't work, rather than complaining about it from the perspective of you, the worker, or you, the leader of your team, do it as someone who's an employee who is concerned about the breach of policy, right? That's much more likely to be powerful, much more likely to win in your favor than not. Take the time to learn it. Become a stickler, because when someone abuses it, that's when you need to be a dot the I, crossing the T type of person, okay? Another suggestion. Have a reset the table conversation with your boss, okay? This is not about a promotion. This is not about that. I want you to sit and as a primary goal, I want you to re-identify and reconnect emotionally, if possible, with what this person considers to be the key things that we have to do. What are the biggest strategic priorities, okay? Forget about the how, forget about how you're gonna get there, forget about how that aligns or disaligns with what you and your people have been doing. I want you to have this conversation to give this person a bit of a platform, okay? And what your goal is to align with what this person already considers critical to success and make it clear that the overreach, the micromanagement, the monitoring is a critical impediment to that. You need to make it black and white in no uncertain terms clear that if you want the best of what I can do for you, I cannot do that with these policies here. There is no, I can make it work. There is no working around that. It's not going to happen. Okay? It is not going to happen. If I was working with a very qualified client, had amazing credentials, amazing experience, should have the world at his or her feet, but happens to be in a horribly destructive personal relationship that rips out the guts of their self-esteem and forces them to apologize, ramble, break apart, then we got to talk about that, because if we don't, nothing else is going to matter, right? You have to get to the truth of what you want. You have to get agreement and understand this is what you want. I want that too. This here, which I know you may have assumed is a way to get what you want, is exactly the opposite. We have got to get rid of that. We have got to get rid of it if you're serious about attaining what you say you want. Hang them with their own verbiage, not your verbiage, okay? As long as it's your verbiage, it's just a complaining employee. That's what we're trying to avoid through all of these, okay? That's never gonna work, okay? Complaining, saying, hey, I don't like this is not gonna work, and definitely saying, hey, other companies don't do this is also not going to work. These methods will work, all right? Save copies of everything. I want you to just be truly understanding it instead of pretending to understand company policy. I want you to truly start saving copies of everything. Don't do what I did, which is when I get into a heavy email, sometimes I'll delete them. Nope, save everything. Save it all. Save it offline. I don't care if that violates company policy at this point, okay? They're already violating your basic trust in being there. Do what you need to do to cover your own butt. That's my advice to you. You're not going to get it from your in-house, but they don't have your true interest at heart, right? Document everything, paper trail of all the emails, communications, but also everything that you have done, okay? It is absolutely important that you start creating a powerful narrative that you own so that you're preparing right now on how you're going to use all of this towards your next opportunity. You've got to think about the future now. You've got to be loyal to yourself and your family members right now, not to them. All right? They're the ones who are messing you up. Just by dint of doing this, it tells you something about the way that they see you, right? So document everything, document your accomplishments on a month-by-month basis, even week-by-week if necessary. Document the major responsibilities, the actions taken, the problem solved. Successes are everything. Successes are key, okay? Rebrand and network based on your current market worth, not your worth at the time you started your most recent job. One of the biggest reasons why people will feel truly suffocated by these types of steps is not just that it's happening here, but because I haven't even thought about a new job in 2.5 years, right? That's not on the company, that's on you. Right? If you're investing even 6 months at a company, you need to be make that a choice that say, okay, I'm spending 6 months of full-time work here. That means that's 6 months I'm away from the marketplace. 6 months of opportunities that I don't see. Right? And I'm going to say, okay, is the comp worth it? If not, I'm not going to do it, right? So I really want you to look at your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your internal mindset of how you're going to approach this and say to yourself, what do I want right now? Right? Not just one level up. Where do you want to go with this? If sky was the limit and you could truly leverage all of this, and chances are if you're dealing with a company that is dealing with this kind of monitoring, they've been most likely underpaying you and undervaluing you for a long time. We don't do this we don't pull this kind of crap on people that we're truly afraid can walk out like that. You need to make yourself more like that by looking at your competitors. Look at people who are 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of you, right? How are they branding themselves? What types of keywords are they using, right? How does their LinkedIn headline look, right? What are they emphasizing? A process or just, trading skills? Echo those. Make it clear when I look at your history that your journey is a heck of a lot bigger than just the most recent company. If that's not happening, you're going to run into that problem no matter what. So better to nip it in the bud right now, right? Finally, if you have to, and this might well be the answer here, land a better job and use your negative experience at this one as an example of what not to do. One of the most powerful ways that you can not only secure an offer, but just completely quash this thing is avoid the trap of and I say this as someone who's hired people as well, I hate to hear when clearly something has gone on, I hate to have someone, a full-grown adult, lie to me or give me some phony BS. That's not respecting me. That's not even respecting yourself, quite frankly. What I would say is if you had a problem here, if employee monitoring was a major issue, you don't have to complain about it. But you can say, hey, look, here's what the goals were when we started this role. Here's what me and my team were able to accomplish strategically. Here's where things went off the line. And here's where, in my opinion, they emphasized too much the short term and protection as opposed to growth and expansion, which would have solved it all. That's why I'm talking to you here. That's why I believe that we need to consider working together and solving it in a way that they weren't able to. Make a stand for what you know is right and what you know is wrong. Don't be a phony. Don't be weak-willed here, okay? Companies, businesses, we want to do business with strong, self-empowered learners, people who are dedicated, and people who have the power of their convictions. If that's not you, you've got some work to do before you go out there in the marketplace. Where I would recommend you go, it's completely free, but it's there for the people who are committed. The people who are not, go back to watching TV. For everybody else, helloanish.com is where you need to go next. Thanks.